Hi everyone, this is the Nordic Venture Show, your guide to the exciting world of Nordic startups and venture capital. Welcome to episode 100. In this milestone episode, we're proud to celebrate 100 icons of Nordic innovation. Stories that changed the world.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we are diving into some really fascinating stuff. We're looking at a source called 100 Icons of Nordic Innovation. And, that title pretty much says it all, doesn't it? A whole century of game-changing stuff coming from the Nordic region. They highlight not just the people who dreamt it up, but also the companies that made it happen and the policies that helped these incredible ideas take off.
Yeah, it's a really impressive collection. This deep dive is like your express tour through this whole list, giving you a shortcut to get the main themes and see the huge global impact of these innovations. So we are not just going to look at what they created, but also why it mattered and why it still matters today. And the sources they use are super diverse, looking at everything from big tech leaps to changes in how we look at sustainability, even the stuff we use in our daily lives.
Totally. Now, they do say it's a list of 100, but even they admit it can't be totally complete,
Yeah.
They even have this little note about things they might have accidentally missed, which, that's kind of how they roll. But anyway, even though we can't cover every single icon, we're going to dig into some of the most impactful ones and really unpack the big trends that jump out at us.
Sounds good.
All right, so where should we kick off our exploration? What about how the Nordics totally changed the digital world? That's got to be a good place to start, right?
Totally, yeah. What hits you straight away is just how big their influence is in the digital space. You can't talk about listening to music today without mentioning Spotify, right? And their genius wasn't just in making music digital, it was their whole freemium model, balancing access with making money, and then those super smart recommendation engines. Those things have completely changed how we find new music.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like I can barely remember buying CDs or even paying for downloads. That seems like ancient history now. And then you've got Skype. Remember those first internet video calls? So clunky. Skype just made global communication so much easier. They used peer-to-peer tech with a really user-friendly interface, so suddenly talking face-to-face across continents was basically free. And that had a huge impact on everything from personal relationships to international business. Everything. So what was the technical innovation that allowed them to do this so effectively?
Well, a big part of it was how they used peer-to-peer networking. So instead of routing all the calls through central servers, Skype spread the processing power and bandwidth across its users. That way, they cut down on infrastructure costs like crazy, and call quality was better, especially back then when the internet wasn't as strong everywhere. And if you think about the bigger picture, these changes weren't just about convenience. They created this whole new era of global interconnectedness, knocking down geographical barriers in a way that most people never thought possible.
Exactly. And the digital revolution didn't stop at communication and music. Look at the impact of mobile gaming. Supercell with Clash of Clans, Rovio with Angry Birds. These weren't just games to kill time. They became like cultural phenomenons, right? They were everywhere on app stores and totally captivated millions of players across the globe. What was it about these games that made them so universally appealing?
One big thing was their design. It was so intuitive, and they really understood gameplay on mobile. They created these experiences that were engaging, and, you could play them anywhere. Plus, they had these clever ways of making money, so you could play for free or pay for upgrades. That understanding of how people use mobile platforms, that was key to their massive success. And this whole idea of reaching a huge global audience through digital platforms, it's clear when you look at how people shop online. That brings us to Klarna. Their buy now, pay later thing, it tackled a real pain point in e-commerce, It gave people more flexibility when they were shopping and really changed what people expected from online payments.
Yeah, it's become so normal now, hasn't it? Like it totally taps into how people manage their online spending. Mm-hmm. And speaking of changes that just became the norm, we can't forget Nokia. Even though their grip on the mobile phone market has changed, their early work was absolutely vital in setting up the whole infrastructure of mobile communication. What global standards did Nokia contribute to that were so essential?
They were really important in developing those early protocols. They allowed different mobile networks to talk to each other, the early GSM standards, that kind of thing. And this interoperability, being able to work together, that was crucial for mobile phones to take off in a big way. It paved the way for truly global mobile communication. You could say they laid the groundwork for a lot of the mobile tech we just take for granted now. So when we look at the combined effect of all this, Spotify changing music, Skype revolutionizing communication, the global reach of mobile gaming, Klarna's influence on e-commerce, and Nokia's foundational role, what strikes you about the Nordic contribution to our digital lives?
I think what stands out for me is this mix of user-centric design with a global ambition right from the start. These weren't just solutions for the Nordic region. They were built with the potential to go massive internationally. It's fascinating how they saw those emerging tech trends and really capitalized on them in ways that worked across different cultures.
Okay, so let's shift gears now and look at another area where the Nordics seem to be leading the way, building a sustainable future.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where you see Nordic ingenuity tackling some of the biggest environmental challenges head on. Take Northvolt, for example. They're going all in on sustainable battery tech manufacturing. And they're not just focused on batteries for electric cars, they're looking at the whole picture. Sustainable sourcing of materials, reducing the carbon footprint of the manufacturing process, and developing new ways to recycle batteries. This whole system approach to making batteries, that's essential for a truly green transition. Right, because batteries are the core of a green economy. Having companies like Northvolt pushing for sustainable production is so important. Then there's Oatly, which has completely changed the game for plant-based milk. What was once a niche market is now mainstream, and Oatly played a big part in that. They didn't just focus on a sustainable product, they built a brand that's really distinctive and engaging.
Totally. They tuned in to this growing awareness among consumers about the environmental impact of our food, especially the dairy industry. Their success shows what happens when you combine a sustainable product with smart communication and branding. And if you zoom out a bit, it's not just about offering alternatives. It's about actively shaping how people consume, steering them towards choices that are better for the environment. And then you have Nest doing some really groundbreaking work with renewable diesel, and this is huge. Sustainable aviation fuels. When you think about the impact of flying on the environment, their innovations are so important. They're producing fuels from waste oils and fats, and that cuts greenhouse gas emissions way more than traditional jet fuel.
Yeah. Aviation is a tough one to decarbonize, so progress there is really encouraging. And talking about renewable energy, we've got to mention Vestas. They are a global leader in making wind turbines. Wind power is a cornerstone of the switch to renewables, and Vestas has been crucial in making that tech more efficient and affordable, driving its widespread adoption.
They've consistently been at the forefront of turbine design and capturing energy from the wind, making wind power a real competitor in the energy market and a more reliable source, too. And then there's Too Good To Go, which is tackling this massive problem of global food waste. Their app connects people with surplus food from restaurants and stores. Simple idea, but it's incredibly impactful. It lets individuals do something concrete to reduce waste.
Yeah, I really like that one. It's a practical solution with a clear benefit for everyone, people, and the planet. So thinking about Northvolt, Oatly, Neste, Vestas, and Too Good To Go all together, how do you see these Nordic innovations helping to build a more sustainable future for everyone?
What's really interesting here is that it's a multi-pronged approach. They're not relying on just one solution. They're driving innovation across all these different sectors: energy, food systems, tackling waste. If we connect this to the big picture, it shows a really deep commitment in the Nordic region to dealing with environmental challenges. They're using tech, they're using entrepreneurship, and there's a growing awareness in society, all working together.
Okay, let's shift our focus again. Now I want to talk about an area where the Nordics have this global reputation: Nordic design.
Yeah, that aesthetic has found its way into homes and influenced design thinking all over the world. And we have to start with IKEA. I mean, you can't talk about modern furniture without mentioning IKEA. They made well-designed Scandinavian furniture accessible to millions of people worldwide.
Yeah.
They showed that good-looking and functional design doesn't have to be expensive. But beyond just cost, what are some of the core design principles of Scandinavian design as embodied by IKEA, and why do you think they resonate so broadly?
That's a great question. I think beyond the price tag, there's this real emphasis on functionality. Stuff is designed to be practical, to serve a purpose. And there's this clean simplicity to the lines and shapes, often inspired by nature. It creates this feeling of calm and timelessness. I think that accessibility and focus on everyday life are key to why it's so popular all over the world.
Exactly. It's about making beautiful and functional things for everyday use, often with natural materials and lots of light. And then you have Marimekko with its bold textiles and fashion designs. It's a more vibrant and expressive side of Nordic design, a joyful use of color and pattern. It's kind of a contrast to the minimalism that people often associate with the region. So what do you think Marimekko adds to our understanding of Nordic design?
I think Marimekko shows the playful, artistic side. It proves that Nordic design isn't just about practicality and neutral colors. There's also a real embrace of bold expression and individuality. And we can't forget Lego. It's so much more than a toy. It's a revolutionary approach to creative learning and play, and it's been sparking the imaginations of kids all over the world for generations. Its brilliance is in its simplicity and versatility.
Totally. The interlocking bricks are so simple, yet they allow for endless creativity and problem solving. It shows how powerful, well-thought-out design can be in helping kids learn and grow. And then there's Fiskars, famous for their super ergonomic and durable tools, especially those iconic orange-handled scissors. It's design driven by practicality and making things that last, with a real focus on the user experience.
Yeah, those orange handles are instantly recognizable. It's a perfect example of how good design can almost disappear because it just works so well. And even something like Royal Copenhagen, with its beautiful porcelain designs, shows a different side of Nordic design, a dedication to craftsmanship, tradition, and lasting beauty. It represents a long and rich history of artistry.
So when you think about IKEA, Marimekko, Lego, Fiskars, Royal Copenhagen, how do you think these different expressions of Nordic design have influenced your surroundings and maybe even our overall sense of aesthetics?
What's fascinating is how these different approaches, from IKEA's mass-produced accessibility to the handcrafted artistry of Royal Copenhagen, all share this common thread of thoughtful design. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how those principles, functionality, simplicity, quality, and connection to nature, have resonated across cultures. They've influenced everything from furniture and fashion to architecture and product design. It really shows the lasting appeal of design that prioritizes both form and function in a meaningful way. Let's move on to another area. What about the advancements in health and well-being that have come out of the Nordic region?
This is another area where Nordic contributions have had a really significant impact globally. For instance, Novo Nordisk has been absolutely transformative in diabetes care. They were pioneers in insulin production and delivery. Their work has touched the lives of millions of people worldwide, significantly improving the management of this chronic condition.
Yeah, for sure. That's a legacy of truly life-changing medical innovation. And then we have Oura Ring, which is a more modern approach to health and wellness. They focus on personalized sleep and activity monitoring. It reflects this growing focus on preventative health and giving people the tools to be more proactive about their well-being through data.
Exactly. It's about giving people useful data so they can make better decisions about their sleep, recovery, and their health overall. And if we look at the cutting edge of medicine, Bico Group, which used to be called Cellink, is doing groundbreaking work with bioprinting technology. This has the potential to completely change how we approach organ transplants and tissue engineering. They use bioinks, materials with living cells in them, to build tissues and organs layer by layer.
Wow, that sounds like it could have incredible implications for the future of medicine. And then there's Blueprint Genetics, which is revolutionizing genetic testing and diagnostics. They offer this comprehensive genetic information that helps with diagnoses and treatment decisions, leading to more personalized and effective healthcare.
Right, because understanding someone's genetic makeup can mean earlier and more accurate diagnoses, as well as more targeted treatment strategies. And if we broaden our view a little, we have the Finnish Education System. Now, it's not a medical innovation in the traditional sense, but it's definitely a societal one. It's globally admired as a model of education reform, and it's had a deep and lasting impact on well-being and opportunity. They emphasize equity, teacher training, and a holistic approach to learning.
Absolutely. A good and fair education system is the foundation of a healthy and thriving society. So when you consider the impact of Novo Nordisk, Oura Ring, Bico Group, Blueprint Genetics, and the Finnish education system, how do you see these innovations in health and well-being helping to create a healthier and more equitable world for everyone?
What's interesting here is the range of innovation. We see everything from fundamental medical breakthroughs to proactive wellness tools and improvements at a societal level. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows a holistic understanding of well-being. They recognize that health is influenced by lots of factors, from individual biology to how society is structured and access to education.
Okay, let's wrap up by talking about the entrepreneurial spirit that seems to be such a driving force behind so many of these Nordic innovations.
Yeah, definitely. Behind every groundbreaking innovation, there's usually a visionary, someone who dares to challenge the status quo. Think about Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, who had this vision of making good design affordable for everyone. Or Niklas Zennström, who co-founded Skype and saw the potential for free, seamless communication worldwide. Then you have Daniel Ek, the driving force behind Spotify, who completely changed how we listen to music. And Fredrik Idestam, the founder of Nokia, who was a real pioneer in the Nordic telecom revolution. These people had incredible drive, foresight, and they were willing to take risks. What do you see as the common threads in the mindsets of these successful entrepreneurs?
I think there's this real focus on seeing a need or a problem and then relentlessly pursuing a solution. They often have a very clear and ambitious vision. And there also seems to be this resilience, a willingness to learn from setbacks. But it's not just about individual founders. Organizations like Slush have played a big role in changing the global startup scene. They've created this dynamic platform for startups, investors, and talent to connect, fostering the next generation of innovators.
For sure, Slush has become a major global meeting place for the startup ecosystem. And within the Nordic region, you have initiatives like Startup Sana, which have been essential in nurturing those early-stage entrepreneurial ecosystems. They provide mentorship, resources, and a supportive community for people who want to start businesses.
So reflecting on the stories of these legendary entrepreneurs and the impact of organizations like Slush and Startup Sana, what resonates most with you about the drive and vision it takes to bring these impactful ideas to life and make them successful on a global scale?
What really stands out to me is this powerful combination of ambition and a practical problem-solving approach. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests that there's something in the culture that encourages risk-taking, but also provides a supportive infrastructure and a spirit of collaboration that allows innovation to flourish.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into just a few of the 100 icons of Nordic innovation, it's clear that the Nordic region has had a really diverse and significant global influence. We've explored game-changing advancements in digital tech, a real commitment to sustainable solutions, a distinctive design aesthetic that's admired worldwide, crucial progress in health and well-being, and a vibrant entrepreneurial spirit fueling it all. This collection gives us a glimpse into some truly remarkable ingenuity and its far-reaching impact.
It does, and it leaves us with a question for you, our listener, to think about. Given this impressive history of collaboration and innovation across so many fields, what future global challenges might Nordic ingenuity be uniquely suited to address in the years to come? What are the underlying cultural and societal factors that might continue to foster this remarkable ability to innovate?
That's a thought-provoking question to leave us with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the inspiring world of Nordic innovation.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.